Have you retired from radio, just as a sidebar question?
Listen, I haven't retired from radio. I've just restructured my pricing. So if you hear me on any station, Jason Goliath, host,
Jason
know
Goliath.
on that day my debit orders are so safe. You know they are paying me so much money.
702.
The upside of failure.
Sometimes failure is the foundation of greatest success stories.
Jason Goliath is in the building.
Relebogile. Holding the whole 702 on her back.
Carrying the whole station on my
Carrying the 7, the O, and the 2 on one person. Come on, John Pullman, pull up your socks.
Listen, this is a very serious feature. You can't do this. You can't do
I have failed already. I'm back. There's no more rules. Once you survive failure.
You're failing as a guest. Let's start there. You're a failure as a guest. Also, it doesn't help. You see, you're too comfortable with me, Wena.
What do you know? I'm not too comfortable with you. I'm too comfortable with the fact that I speak the truth. And you can't handle the truth.
Look, let me start off by saying the last time I watched your special, I can't even remember the name of it, but you were specifically speaking about women. It felt like a woman.
Menstruation.
Yes, menstruation.
I think it's still streaming on Showmax. Those that haven't watched it. And ladies, before you send messages of complaint,
It's
I'm
brilliant.
happy. But I'm happy to deal with the complaints after you've watched the show.
Okay.
Because lots of ladies came at me and said that is experiential appropriation. And I said, I feel you. But promise me you'll watch the show and then let's have a conversation if you still feel the same way.
Yes.
And then I had so many women DM me and go, we watched the show.
Oh,
You
listen.
take it back. Thank you. That is the word. Thank you.
Firstly, everybody needs to know that behind every successful man is a woman putting up with his you know what.
Yes.
Because
No, I had to import somebody from Paul. I needed somebody with a farm essence, somebody with that barefoot strength. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because no. Me, I've got a left-hand drive wife.
But that really inspired me because it just reminded me what comedy truly is about. It isn't just about making people laugh. It's about having a message. It's the thing that Trevor Noah does, that Dave Chappelle does,
100%.
where there's something deeper always.
So I always thought that you kind of just get there by instruction or peer pressure. But weirdly, I got there because, and I think that, COVID cemented it. So my last one-man show is openly motivational comedy. So I'm currently I'm touring a little bit. A show called Dala, It Is What It Is.
Yes.
And that show is straight up motivational comedy. But what happened is you get to a point where you realize that people are listening to you. So if people are going to listen, you must say something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you first got to get good at making people laugh. In the beginning, it's all about jokes. And then you get good at making people laugh. And then you realize there's got to be more than just the jokes. You know what I mean?
But you're lucky, though, in the sense that you have a South African audience where we are so good at making fun of the worst of things.
100%.
Like we will laugh about that one hiding that you're crying about in therapy the day before.
Even when we say something is offside, those of us are still laughing. Even when we say red card,
Nah.
we're still laughing.
We
South
really-
Africans are the best.
And I love that our humor can be dark, can be inspirational, can be motivational.
And can be smart.
Yes.
Can be smart. South Africans are smart.
Have you retired from radio, just as a sidebar question?
Listen, I haven't retired from radio. I've just restructured my pricing. So let me say this: if you hear me on any station, and it's Jason Goliath, host,
Jason
know
Goliath.
on that day my debit orders are so safe. You know they are paying me so much money because people underestimate how difficult radio is, particularly breakfast radio.
Listen.
And what a thing.
And the pressure.
The pressure is relentless. And you create the pressure by being good. So then you create this expectation. So you always got to be bettering yourself every single day. And then you have that one off day. Then your DMs are full.
So don't you think this suits me here, like being during the day, in the daytime?
No, listen, you've got a sweet spot here.
Dude.
Because during the day, you're able to still do things at night. Because the problem
I
with
can have
breakfast,
a morning with my child.
which is a beautiful thing. And that's what, so breakfast makes you lose all of that. So you're waking up at an ungodly hour.
And you're sleeping earlier than normal.
You're leaving when the sun is still down, right? You're leaving your home, no matter what season it is, winter, summer, you're leaving while it's dark, number one, which means by 11 o'clock that day, you are exhausted and hitting a wall. And between 11 and 3 is the most difficult. But then you also lose your evening because you've got to get to bed early. So then I can't perform at night. I've got to, and once 8 o'clock hits, if you're not close to your bed, you start getting this breakfast radio anxiety.
Dude,
because
and
now
then
you're
you don't sleep
counting
properly.
the hours of sleep. Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Exactly.
Okay. What is failure? And to Jason, the 5, 6, 7-year-old, the little kid who, outside of the red marks on your test, what did you believe failure was?
I think disappointing my mom. I can't articulate it better than that. I think even as a kid, just being conscious of how much effort this person is putting in to give you a life and then to disappoint them. That, and I once...
Was it a look? Was it like I disappointed you look, or was it something you internalized?
You must remember that sometimes it was a look. Sometimes it was just this sound. You know that sound? Global African disappointment. That sound, just that.
Yes.
And sometimes, this was the 80s, it was a backhand. You know what I mean? Sometimes it was, you're not going to do that again.
That was the old school verpa. The verpa back
listen,
then.
my mom could remove a sandal at full sprint and nail you with it on the back of your head around the corner. She was like the Chuck Norris of hiding givers. Like, you know what I mean? She was, and bless her, only because, I was a naughty kid.
So when now, you say failure was disappointing mom, as you sort of navigated your school career between sports and cultural activities, were there things that you were like, I'm failing at this thing and I don't even want to show up, be it academics, be it I didn't make the first team, or were you that kid who just did not care?
I think I was a blend of both. So firstly, I think I was, my folks did a great job of making me feel amazing and telling me that I'm beautiful and telling me that I'm enough. And also, I think making very clear very early on that not everything is for everyone, but in order to find your thing, you've got to try as many things as possible. And that word try as many things made me brave to try. I tried 10 people's things for years before I was like, but you didn't tell me that this is not for people with mukaba. This is not, you know what I mean? So I tried a lot of things. So like, for example, football was not for me, but rugby, because of my size, I was amazing.
I look at you and I just imagine
I was
that
a
guy.
prop. I was a prop, tight
You
head.
could have been an amazing American football player.
Listen, I definitely could have been. And also I'm weirdly fast is like my superpower. Like over 30 meters, I will race just about anybody. Because you know what happens? When people see my body, they don't put effort into their start.
You.
Then they go, shame. Then you go on your marks, get set. Then by the time they realize, I'm already gone. Already gone.
So were you first team rugby?
Actually, no, I dropped out. So what happened is I played for the second team when I was like 2 years too young.
Yes.
And I was pretty good. And I ended up going to Gauteng trials at the time.
Wow, yeah.
And I got to Gauteng trials and I went to Florida Park High School in Florida, in the West Rand.
Yeah.
And 3 of the students were selected from the school to go to trials, went to trials, and I was tackling the snot out of these boys. And literally, you know, when you get a double snot, 2 nostrils, you've tackled somebody properly. I was running as quick as the wings. I was tackling like an absolute machine. I was a monster in the scrum, but nobody was watching me. Because trials, it's all about who your father is, which school you went to.
Isn't that crazy, though,
And
that they are kids who
100%.
was that good that they could have represented the country, but because they did not have the right eyes or the right back pockets
100%.
or the right surname behind them.
And this was in the 90s, and let me tell you, it broke my spirit. Because there I was giving everything, and it was so obvious that they'd already pre-selected who was going to be going through. So we played all of these games for no reason. And I remember being kind of in my coach's car on the way back to the school, and him saying, "Hey, sorry boys, none of you made it." And me saying to him, "But none of them watched. How do they know how good or bad we are?" And he said, "Hey, that's life. You're going to have to get used to that." And I stopped playing rugby immediately because I was like, "What am I doing there? I'm putting my body on the line here for what?" And I
did
stopped.
it feel like a failure at all to you, or did it feel like sabotage of sorts?
No, I think that, particularly in the 90s, we were used to being ignored. You know what I mean? So it just felt like another one of those where you're being overlooked because you're not the right something. You know what I mean? Either the right color or the right school or the right amount of money.
Yeah.
It just felt like one of those. So in honesty, I didn't take it as a personal failure, but rather was angry, which I suppose I'm a little bit disappointed in myself, because if I had to do it all over again, I would have maybe continued and seen where it could have taken me. But I was upset with the system and was just like, well, I'm not going to give you my energy if you're not giving me yours.
I just feel like we needed that anger for your comedy career. I don't know why.
Well,
I think it just fed what you're doing today. Like, I'm a firm believer everything happens for a reason.
Amen.
And,
Amen.
And for all we know, you might have been an amazing Springbok for 1-2 years and then out because of an injury.
Because my knees or cholesterol, one of the two. You know what I mean? Could have been either one of those.
Yes.
It could have been either one of those. But I absolutely agree with this. So the way I articulate it is, and I got this from one of my greatest mentors, David Kibuka, was everything is helping you. Everything is helping you. And very often when close friends call me and complain about something not working out or they're missing an opportunity, I go, and they go, I don't know why I'm feeling this way. And I go, it's because you've forgotten that everything is helping you. You're too close to just this thing. Take a step back, and every single thing is helping you. So somebody asked me a cool question, and it's come up weirdly a lot, and they said, if you were to bump into 20-year-old Jason and you had 3 minutes, what's the conversation? And I said, if I were to bump into 20-year-old Jason, I would hide behind a tree so that little, I was going to say a rude word and I forgot him on radio, that guy wouldn't see me.
The cameras in studio reminded you.
So, yes, I was
they're
like,
watching. They're listening.
They are on. But that guy, firstly, was too arrogant. He thought he knew everything. And secondly, that guy has to make every mistake he's about to make so that my life can end up here. So if I give him advice and he changes something, that's going to change where I am now. And that means as hard as I bumped my head through my 20s, which were amazing and my worst years of life, I would give myself no advice because I needed every lesson. I needed every failure. I needed all of the no's until I could start creating the yeses.
Reminds me of that saying, which when a person says, why is this happening to you? And they say, no, it's happening for you.
Amen.
So I want to talk about some of your failures that you've experienced in life and what that moment was like. Because obviously hindsight is a beautiful thing, but
Yes, it is.
wanneer jy is deur in die...
When you are
Jy
touring.
weet wat. Things are not quite hindsighty and okay, I understand, right? Let's start with business, because in our industry, I mean, we dabalaz a lot. Chat to us about some of the businesses you embarked on that then were like, yay, this became a failure, and how you had to carry that.
So I think my first failure preceding business was I dropped out of studying. I was doing my IMM, and I did so I got a diploma in business management and marketing my first year, failed my second year, failed it again, and then was like, Moms, I'm wasting your money, let me be out. And that was my
And were you failing
first...
because you were working at the same time, or you were just...
So I was always working and always trying to work. So I always worked weekends, and I was on the microphone at Macro at that time, selling stuff in the store. And I was earning more money than most of my friends that had graduated, just doing this little weekend job. And I remember failing my second year the first time and going, okay, you can't waste your mom's money, you got to work. And then I remember the next semester working as hard as I could and still failing.
Yeah.
And then for me, as long as I've tried my best, as long as I know I'm walking away from this thing and I've given it everything I can, I never see it as a failure. I just see it
But
as
that feeling still is not lekker.
Look, for me, it wasn't that bad because I immediately got angry because I came home and I'll never forget. I said to my mom, I'm done. I've just gotten my results. I failed again and I don't want to waste any more of your money. I'm out. And she said, are you sure? She asked me one time, are you sure? I said, yes. She said, your rent is 800 Rand a month. Whoa! You're going to have to pay this. You're going to have to pay your petrol immediately.
Because you're no longer a student that's
straight
dependent.
Away. Once, are you sure? And then the bills came in immediately. So I didn't even have time to kind of think about it. I was just thrown into the real world of responsibilities almost immediately.
Yeah.
Start a business. So I work at Macro. On the weekends, I become marketing manager. I then do some sales training and facilitation. I then end up in insurance and knock the lights out. And I start insurance just because in my 20s, I'm chasing money.
And you were using your humor to sell policies.
100%, to sell everything. So I get this opportunity to start my own business, and I do. We start a brokerage, and things are rock and roll. 2005, 2006, 2007, pumping. Then 2008, financial crisis. Then you realize South Africans will rather pay for their DSTV than pay for their life cover, because they're worried about the kids today instead of their legacy. And we lost everything. We did some business with some bad people, and we lost. When I say we lost everything, I'm talking everything and then some. When you realize, and I read, before he became president, weirdly, I read a Donald Trump quote, and he'd come out of a liquidation of one of his buildings in the US. And as he walked out of this liquidation, there was a hobo sitting on the corner, and he said he looks at this guy and goes, I'm jealous of this guy. And they go, why? Because he's got zero, I've got minus $1 billion. I wish I could be back to zero.
I just said to somebody the other day, my domestic worker's richer than me.
Yes.
Because she...
No skills.
She's
no, it's rough.
richer than I am. Because if we're to liquidate and say your net worth is, that's the reality. So when you then had that experience, what was the internal conversation?
So the internal conversation was one of deep outrage and deep heartbreak, because I felt I did the right things. I showed up every day. I worked as hard as I could. I did the textbook stuff. I didn't waste the business's money. We reinvested.
Yes.
So we followed the rules. I wasn't driving a flashy car. I wasn't living outside of my means. I wasn't not doing the activity, and I still failed. And I think that's a major thing for people to get over, where you've put in all of this effort and you still failed. And at that time, even though I just said, as long as I've tried my best, I'm okay with it, it was still devastating, because losing your first business, it's like your child. It's like, you know what I mean? It's your baby. You've nurtured this thing. You've grown this thing. You've put years of your life into this thing. And not only does it fail, but my business partner then decides, well, he's got a wife and kids. I'm not married at the time. He's kicking it. So he leaves the country. And if you understand the laws of a CC, which is, it makes me happy that they don't exist anymore, but if you owned a CC,
it is you.
The partners are jointly and severally liable.
Yep.
So never mind, I owned only 30% of this business. I was liable for 100% of the business's millions and millions of rands of debt. And he was gone. He was gone, and and every time I asked anybody for help.
So he left to be a hobo while you were left here, Donald Trump.
100%. Hard.
How did you get out of that?
Slowly. One bite at a time. I remember handling my personal debt first and ignoring private numbers. I still don't answer private numbers.
Does it give you that weird anxiety? Even though you know you're
heartburn.
okay. But
Immediately.
PTSD.
No, immediately. My phone cover's got 2 Rennies in the back right now, just in case.
Listen, you need to upgrade to Gaviscon. It's a bit stronger for the kind of economy we're in.
Taste, man. Gaviscon, put some sugar there, man. Yeah, that taste of aniseed. Come on, man. Damn it. It'll make you more sick now. What problem am I solving one problem with another?
So bit by bit, you climbed out of it.
Literally, it was too overwhelming to look at. So what I did is I just ignored everything, and I started paying off the smallest one. So with whatever little coins I could muster together, I started paying something towards the smallest debt, which was one of my petrol cards at the time. And when I finished that petrol card, I had this overwhelming sensation of achieving something.
Yeah.
And then I moved on to the next one. And when I remember one of my friends saying to me, Nabra, what you must tell them when they phone you on the private numbers is you must say, listen, things are swak. So what I do is I just put all of my debts into a hat, and then every month I choose 3.
And
so,
if you harass me, your name will not be
next month you're disqualified. Yes, that's exactly exactly it. But I started with the smallest one, and I just kept on going and going and going, and eventually, paying debt. I still have people phoning me. I still owe people money. But you learn to live and move and do, and you get lawyers on retainer, and you have to be an adult, which is the worst thing to happen to any of us, is to be an adult.
Really is. So 011-883-0702 in the WhatsApp line 0727021702. We have a special caller on the line. Hello, special caller.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Jason is listening.
Hello, Uncle Jason.
Hello, my boy. Hello, Benj. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Everybody listening, this is my nephew Benjamin, and he is the best boy on earth, which makes your boys second. I'm just saying that. All of your boys are tied second, but Benj is the number 1 boy on earth. What's your question, Benj?
My question is, how did you get from where you are today?
How did you get to where you are today? Benj, are you going to take all of the lessons he's giving you, or are you going to be selective?
No, he's smarter. He's on it. With the lessons, he's on it.
Benj, thank you so much for the question.
So I think the way I got to where I am today was firstly accepting where I was. And I think a lot of us struggle to move because we don't accept where we are, and we're always in the space of still casting blame. And, so I could have blamed my business partner. I could have blamed the people who did us in. I could have
Where's
blamed...
the business partner, by the way?
I could have... somewhere in the Europes. It's very nice. And you got a lot of passports. Very, very nice.
Yes.
Somewhere there in the Europes. I don't want to out him too badly, shame.
Yeah.
But it was simply firstly accepting where I was, accepting my circumstances. And then I went through this magical change where my sum in my mind in my 20s was always success equals happiness. So money equals happiness. My sum in my 30s, once I started stand-up comedy, which saved my life completely, realized the sum isn't wrong. So success equals happiness is right, but the equal sign is multidirectional. So I'm reading it wrong.
Yes.
So instead of going success equals happiness, I now go happiness equals success.
Yes.
And the happier I am based on my own sum, the more successful I must be. And then I'm always saying to people now is I realize that if I don't find my happiness where my feet are now, with this debt, with this overweight, with this face that I've been blessed with, if I become vicarious with my happiness and say things like I'm going to be happy when something happens, when I get more money, when I'm in a relationship, when I get married, when I'm out of debt.
But it's hard to hear. I mean, I understand the concept of, I choose to be happy. Like,
Yeah.
it's my son's second birthday today.
Congratulations!
And I'm going through so many things in life.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
I said today.
Yay!
Nothing's going to shake me because I kept someone alive for 2
Come on.
years.
Come on. Bo, 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 bo.
And on days like that, I get it. I'm like, happiness is a choice. I
Yeah.
chose because even the playlist in the car was different.
Yes.
Even the content I was consuming was different. I was in the zone. But there are days when it's hard when somebody says happiness is a choice, and then I want to do the
But
bag
that's
club.
so I've had fights with people about this because my friends used to say, stop being a hippie. You're one of those kumbaya people because you just want to talk happiness,
Yes.
happiness. And then I'm like, the problem is don't put happiness in that box of happiness is smiling, laughing. So what I'm saying is if I were to say to you, take a zoom out, take a step back and have a look at a year instead of a day, are you happy? And I think you'd say yes, because you look at your kid, you look at you look at your life. So for me, it's not about being in this state of elation 24/7, but it's about making sure that you are living the life that you want to live. So somebody once said to me, imagine the man you want to be, then be that man.
Every day.
So for me,
Yeah.
it's a choice because you can choose. And Nicholas Goliath has a wonderful saying. He's always like, don't be the cloud, be the silver lining. And then remind yourself that there are many ways to look at a perspective. And I just always find the way that suits me, my favorite way. Because most situations aren't worth our time or energy anyway. You know what I mean? So somebody cuts you off in traffic. It's not worth swearing at that person. They didn't see you coming. They don't even know you're there. They're going to carry on with their lives. You angry. You've made everyone in your car angry. Then I'm just like in that moment reminding myself they probably didn't see me.
Yeah.
If they throw a zap sign, El Dorado Park comes out immediately. Don't take chances with me on the road. Do not take chances with me on the road. You know what I mean? But in the first instance, I'm not getting aggressive anymore because I'm like, they didn't see me. They're not trying to hurt me. They didn't do it on purpose.
And
you
also,
can choose to see it
nobody's
that way.
really watching you or cares about
No,
you. We're all going
no.
about our own business. Look, you and I could do this for hours.
Man, I can't believe our time is up.
I love you so much.
I love you more. Your energy, your vibes, you're just the type of human that we all need. Like if I can have a double relay every morning, like instead of an espresso, just give me a double relay every morning, my life would be great. So I think you must start bottling it, making ice blocks with it, whatever this vibe is that you're on.
You see, that's
Just
exactly
keep
what I was
sharing it
going
with
to
us.
say about you. Where can we see you next?
So I've got a couple of exciting things coming. Where you can see me right now is Celebrity Game Night Season 4 is back.
Yes.
E-Entertainment, Channel 124, 7 p.m. on Sundays. We've got the biggest stars. Guys, Zakes Bantwini is on the show.
Zozibini.
I'm not even worried about
Many,
anybody
many,
else.
many.
Zakes Bantwini was on the show. So
And your socials, then we can
all of your
come to your
favorite
comedy shows.
Jason Goliath on everything. So Jason Goliath on everything, and then I'm off to Canada to perform at a French comedy festival on the 15th. I leave, which is excited. So the festival is called Exclam in Montreal, which is exciting. And then just keep a lookout. I've got lots of stuff, and also my show Giving It Gears with Jason Goliath on Red Bull TV. There's a new episode out. Go and check that out.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you to your wife, because I know how hard she works.
Sean Goliath gets the biggest shout out because not only does she work hard, she works it, baby.
Yes,
Come on.
yes.
Come
Jason
on.
Goliath on the upside of failure.
702.
The upside of failure.
Sometimes failure is the foundation of greatest success stories.